So do you see this sticker here? Well, they were not cheap. I paid around 10 euros for 8 of them. And well, they're worth it because what they do is they protect you against electromagnetic fields, at least according to the website. So basically, the idea is that you put those on electronic devices, like for example mobile phones, and then those stickers are able to shield you from those electromagnetic fields, like for example electromagnetic radiation, radio waves, and so on. Right. So the website actually recommends that you put them on all sorts of on your television, on your microwave, on your mobile phone, of course, right? And of course, it doesn't do that, right? I mean, there's absolutely no scientific basis for this. Some people would call it a scam. Now, the question that I have right now is why do people still buy those? Do people actually believe this nonsense, right? Well, I think again, the answer is a little bit deeper than what it appears to be on the surface. Well, first of all, this is what you call, of course, pseudoscience. If you look closely at what's written on those stickers, it says here quantum science and quantum shield. This actually means nothing, right? But it kind of still illustrates that people like to use science and scientific words and scientific terminology to sell products, right? So evidently science has some kind of a credibility, and if you make it sound fancy like quantum shield, whatever that means, it means nothing, right? Then people have trusted more, evidently. And of course, you already know that this cannot work, because if it were to block the radio signals from the mobile phones for reaching you, then the mobile phone would not work, obviously, right? Because then it's not able to communicate. And it will also violate all of the laws of physics, because where would the energy go? I mean, if it's able to absorb the radio waves, then it should actually heat up somehow and should become hot. It doesn't do that, obviously, right? So where does the energy go? Forget about it. I mean, the physics simply does not work. It cannot work, and therefore, of course, this can be considered, an ethically highly problematic product, in my view. So why do people? Well, let me put it differently. Why does it still work? Under quotation marks, obviously, right? Because even though it does not protect against electromagnetic fields, it still works under quotation marks, because when people put this on their mobile phones, then actually it is a tool to help those people manage their own fears. Okay, so if you, I know that since for a long time, the whole thing about radiation and electromagnetic fields has always been around in the media. I remember back in the 1980s and 1990s, during the Cold War especially, and then also 1986 when the Chernobyl nuclear power plant blew up, radiation fallout, big fear. You could not see the radiation. People were afraid of that. And of course, Fukushima in Japan happened. In Europe, people got also in the United States, we're all worried about radiation, radioactivity. 3 Mile Island, the nuclear disaster in the United States, also back in the day. So there is a general fear of radiation and unseen danger out there. We've seen something similar also when there are, with a pandemic, COVID, viruses cannot be seen, danger, right? So essentially, people want to have a certain way to manage the unseen danger that is there, and this is actually one tool that people can use. And if you put it on your mobile phone, then indeed I can imagine that some people actually will feel more comforted and more, they will sleep better, essentially. A short story that I have to tell you in this context happened several years ago. We had a satellite dish, a parabolic antenna mounted in our garden. And our neighbor saw that antenna and was really worried. She could not sleep anymore, because she said as well, this parabolic antenna, which we used to watch television, essentially pulls the radiation from the satellites, and this causes her to have sleeping problems. Right, and I remember very well the talk that I had with my sister about this case. My sister asked me, "Well, do you really think that the radiation, the radio waves from a satellite are being pulled by the satellite dish?" Of course, nonsense, right? And that she really can have sleeping problems because of that. And I said, "You bet that she'll have sleeping problems, knowing that. And if you remove the satellite dish, she will definitely sleep better." right? But not because of the radio waves, obviously, but because of the psychology that's involved. And even my grandfather, he told me that when he must have been back in the 1920s or 1930s. He told me when he was a boy, he bought himself a radio, a detector radio, it was called. Those radios worked without a battery, and he had to stretch an antenna out from his window to the tree because you needed a huge antenna to receive the radio signals at that time. The neighbor saw that and complained about this, that this antenna actually is now pulling the bad weather towards their village, right? An antenna pulling the bad weather from the neighboring areas, from the river, all the way, and he should remove the antenna. So you see this irrational fear mixed with a little bit of science and half knowledge has been around for a very long time. And what I've seen also during the pandemic time, what has happened is that very quickly certain hoaxes and scams and all of a sudden started to appear, some kind of miracle medication that didn't work, but people were afraid, and people then basically followed that, what they found sometimes online, and some people could not distinguish now the real science from the pseudoscience, right? And pseudoscience is what claims to be science, but it's not, right? And this one claims to be science. It says it shields from electromagnetic fields. Put it on your microwave, and then you basically, it kind of protects you from the microwave radiation. So it uses scientific terminology and scientific principles to sell a product, right? But there is no scientific basis to that. So what is my view on this whole thing now, on this whole issue right now? I mean, when I was younger, every time when I saw stuff like this, I immediately started to go into the offensive, and I said, it's nonsense, and forget about this, and how can you believe this nonsense, it's a scam. When I started hot debates, and it's not helpful, right? Right now, what I'm saying is if it helps people sleep better, let them have a good night's sleep, okay? But I think what is important to say here as well is that those things here, I consider ethically problematic, because essentially you are benefiting from a fear that other people have to make money, right? And 8 pieces of those things, 10 euros. It means basically more than €1. One of these stickers, which costs nothing to produce. I mean, I personally have an ethical problem with that, exploiting the fear of other people. But it's just my personal view. Would like to hear your view. Have a nice day.